Getting around. Many places have their own unique forms of transportation. Take Venice, for example. In Venice, there are almost no cars. Instead of streets, Venice has canals. How can a person travel in a city like this? The answer is simple: gondolas. A gondola is a small boat. It can seat 2 passengers and a driver. Gondolas are convenient, but they're not very fast. In India, you can take a rickshaw. A rickshaw is a small cart, big enough for 2 people. One person, called a runner, pulls the cart. Rickshaws are also suitable for other crowded countries like Vietnam and China. In very cold countries, people sometimes use dog sleds. A dog sled is a light wooden sled. 6 to 10 dogs pull the sled. This is convenient for certain places, especially where there are no roads. Dog sleds travel easily because some dogs are comfortable in the snow. Also, they can travel quickly over icy and uneven ground. The next time you travel to another country, look at the transportation. You might learn some very interesting things.
Hello there, and welcome back. This is the reading section for Book 1, Unit 7. The title for this reading section is Getting Around. Hi everyone, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike. In the beginning of this unit, you learned that transportation is a way of moving people or things from one place to another. In other words, transportation is a way of getting around or going places.
That is correct, Mike. But you guys, you also learned the most common forms of transportation. You learned about airplanes and trains and buses and the MRT, or you learned about subways. Now, we will discuss 3 more forms of transportation. And these forms of transportation are pretty unique.
And when we use this word unique, we're talking about something that is special or different from what you see more often. It's not normal or common, it's unique, it's quite special. For example, the tea I drank had a very unique taste. Now, food and drinks can be unique, and as we will soon learn, so can places.
Yes, and one example of a very unique place is Venice. Venice is unique or different because it doesn't have roads or streets. It has canals. Now, a canal is a long, narrow place filled with water for boats to travel on. And yes, a canal is kind of like a road for boats. It's a man-made river that boats and ships can travel on. And yes, one of the reasons people visit Venice is because Venice has beautiful canals. People say Venice is full of beautiful canals. And yes, like I said before, in Venice, canals are just like roads.
Wow, what a unique city. So with no roads, they can't use cars, right?
That's right. In Venice, no one has any use for cars. In Venice, people use boats called gondolas.
So one could say in Venice, they use gondolas instead of cars.
Yes, one could say that indeed.
Interesting. Instead is a phrase that means in place of. We often use this phrase instead of to suggest a preference for something else, like, I would like to eat rice instead of noodles. Instead of is a very useful phrase to suggest preference or to show you would like to switch one thing with another thing.
Sounds good, but let's get back to Venice.
Okay.
What's your preference, Mike? Would you rather use a car to get around? Or, as in Venice, would you like to use a boat to get around?
Well, using a boat or a gondola in Venice would be very nice on vacation, but I don't think it would really work for using every day. The gondolas they use can be very slow, they don't hold many people, and I think they cost a lot of money to rent.
True. Gondolas work well in Venice with canals,
Yeah.
but they're not really suitable for other cities.
No.
No, not at all. Now, here we have this word suitable. Okay, if something is suitable, it has the right qualities for what you want to do. If something is suitable, you can say that that thing is appropriate or it makes sense given some situation. For example, the giraffe's long neck is very suitable for eating leaves high in a tree.
I see. So what you're saying is a giraffe's neck is suitable for eating the leaves high in a tree in the same way that a gondola is suitable for getting around in Venice with all the canals.
Correct. And while we're talking about unique places like Venice, well, there are other unique places as well. So let's move on from Venice and talk about some other unique places.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like how some places are unique because they are very crowded. Crowded is when a lot of things are all squeezed together into a small space. When we say a city is crowded, we usually mean the city has a lot of people in a small area. For example, Hong Kong is a very crowded city. Many people live there and it's not really that big, so everyone is squeezed in or it's crowded.
Now, I'm trying to remember the reading. In the reading, I think that they said that China and Vietnam are very crowded. That's right, yes, China and Vietnam are very crowded. And in those countries, they use a unique form of transportation called a rickshaw. A rickshaw is a small cart pulled not by a horse, it's a small cart pulled by a person.
Yeah, that's right. I think I've seen that in pictures. And it seems rickshaws are easier to pull because they are wooden.
Yes, if something is wooden, it's made out of wood. It's made out of wood from a tree. For example, pencils used to be wooden, but now many are plastic. Anyways, rickshaws being made from wood isn't the only thing that makes them unique.
Oh, so there's something else that makes them unique or special in some way. Are you referring to the fact that they are very small and only have a few seats?
Yep.
A seat is a place for sitting. We often use this when talking about a place to sit on some kind of transportation, like a bus or a train. For example, buses have many seats, but rickshaws only have one or two.
So rickshaws, like gondolas, don't have many seats, and that means they can't carry a lot of passengers. Now here we have this word passenger. Passengers are people who use some form of transportation, but who are not in control of that form of transportation. Yes, passengers are just along for the ride. For example, the bus driver makes sure all of the passengers on the bus get where they need to go.
So far, we have talked about two unique forms of transportation, the gondola and the rickshaw. But neither of those would be very useful in a place that is very icy. Now, when we use this word icy, we're talking about weather that is so cold that all the water turns to ice. It freezes. Certain places have this kind of weather for most of the year, like Alaska in the United States or parts of Russia or Canada. Traveling in Alaska or these icy places can be very difficult because of all of the icy roads. The roads have ice on it, which makes driving there difficult and dangerous.
Now, right now, you guys might be wondering, if I happened to be traveling in a place like Alaska, a place that's icy, what can I do then? Well, in situations like these, the only transportation that you will be able to use will be a sled. To travel in these very icy conditions, you'll have to use a sled. Now, what's a sled? A sled is a piece of wood that travels over icy places. It's a piece of equipment meant to travel over ice. For example, the children love to go down the hill fast on their snow sled. And yes, to travel long distances, sleds can be pulled by a horse or by a team of dogs.
That's right. In places like Alaska, a sled is really good at traveling on ice. In fact, it's so good that it can even travel where the land is uneven. Uneven is not equal in height or not flat. The land goes up, it goes down, it goes up. It's very uneven. For example, the ball rolled off the uneven table. Sleds are able to travel on very uneven ground.
Okay, everyone, that concludes the reading portion of our lesson. But don't go away. Grammar is coming up next, and I'll see you guys there.